Yeah. Very good evening to all the history enthusiasts. Another wonderful evening, and we have all gathered here on this online virtual gathering for the lecture 2 of our Itihas Saptaha 4. And our resource person for this lecture is Dr. Jeevan Singh Kharakwal, Director Sahitya Sansthan, JRN Rajasthan Vidyapeeth, deemed to be University, Udaipur, Rajasthan. Sir, it is an honor to have you on this platform with us today. I welcome you on behalf of the history enthusiast and our entire committee, our executive members and advisory members. I also welcome our honorary president, Shri Nandan Shastri ji, who has joined us live from Baroda, and I also welcome my friend, founder, vice president of the history enthusiasts, Ms. Nidhi Katti, and all our core committee members who have joined through YouTube. And the most important part of this endeavor, our audience members, scholars, professors, interested who have joined from all over the country. I welcome you all to this lecture. Ms. Nidhi Katti to briefly introduce our resource person before handing over to Professor Khadakwal.
Thank you, Manali, for giving me this opportunity to introduce Jeevan sir. Um, Jeevan Karakwal sir was born in 1966 in Central Himalayas. He did his masters from Kumaon University, Nainital, and PhD from Deccan College, Pune, under the guidance of celebrated prehistorian Professor V.N. Mishra in the year 1994. Title of his PhD was Archaeology of the Central Himalayan Region. He was trained in the field of archaeology in a number of archaeological excavations ranging from Stone Age to Iron Age in Taka, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, and Uttarakhand. He spearheaded a multidisciplinary Indo-Japanese archaeological research project at Kanmer, Harappan site in Kutch, Gujarat, from 2005 to 2012. Besides, he carried out excavation of Chandravati, which is near Abu Road in the Aravalis. This he did between the years 2013 to 2016. He also has carried out archaeological and archaeometallurgical explorations in Central Himalayas, Rajasthan, and Gujarat. He has also published widely on Uttarakhand and Rajasthan, Gujarat, which include 6 books, 3 monographs, and 60 research papers in various international journals like Antiquity, Archaeological Science, Radiocarbon, Man and Environment, Puratattva, and others. He was awarded a postdoctoral fellowship of Japan Society for Promotion of Science, JSPS, at the International Research Center for Japanese Studies, Kyoto, Japan, for 15 months from 2001 to 2002. And subsequently, he was invited as a visiting professor at the Research Institute for Humanity and Nature, Kyoto, Japan, for 1 year from 2004 to 2005. He is member of various academic societies such as Indian Society for Prehistoric and Quaternary Studies, Pune, India, Indian Archaeological Society, Delhi, and Pahar National Institute, Nainital, Rock Art Society of India, Agra European Association of South Asian Archaeology, Indo-Pacific Prehistory Association, Australia, and he is also alumni of Japan Society of Promotion of Science, Kyoto, and many others, of course. He has participated in various national, international seminars in several countries such as France, Japan, Italy, Austria, China, Vietnam, and Iran. He has organized national and international seminars, symposiums, and workshops. His area of interest is protohistoric archaeology, archaeometallurgy, and traditional knowledge system, Currently, Jeevan sir is working as director of Sahitya Sansthan, JRN Rajasthan Vidyapeeth, which is deemed to be university, which is situated in Udaipur, Rajasthan state. So it's our privilege that we have such a experienced, knowledgeable resource person with us today. I hand over um the stage to Jeevan sir. Over to you, sir.
Sir, you have to unmute yourself.
Hello, am I audible now?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. Namaste, India from Udaipur, Rajasthan. Of course, I'm at Ajmer just now. Thank you, Nidhi. Thank you, Momaya, and thank you, Nandan sir. It is a wonderful opportunity, and I'm really feeling honored to be invited to give this talk at your forum. And today I've chosen to speak on actually zinc, but I'll start with some, early evidences of copper, but mostly focus on zinc. So the title of my talk today is History of Metal Making in India with special reference to Jawar. Can we go next? Well, what happens is when we talk about the metal making in South Asia, the history goes back to 7,000 BC because in the first period, cultural period at Mehergarh, we find this kind of bead, copper bead, and that dates coming from Mehergarh period 1. And then in the lower part, we have another ring that comes from Mehergarh phase 3. So this is the beginning of metal making in South Asia. And after around 5th millennium BC, of course, then we have next. Then we have number of sites where metal making was happening. By the time we arrive in the urban phase of the Harappans, Harappans, you can see in the slide, the shaded area is entirely occupied by the urban phase of the Harappans. So the Harappans were using variety of metal like copper, tin, arsenic, lead, gold, and they were making bronze. So majority, of course, of their metal objects are of copper, but they have large number of places where they were using arsenic, and tin as alloys, and they were using lead, of course, and the gold they knew very well because most of the Harappan site held gold objects. So that was happening. Of course, the Harappans did not know iron. Iron comes much later in picture. Can we go next? So the introduction of metal as far as even not only just copper but also alloys begin with the Harappans. Harappans are known for their interesting, very interesting, unparalleled town planning across their the landscape wherever they settle in the northwestern India, including Pakistan and parts of Afghanistan. And they are known for unique kind of pottery, S-shaped jar particularly, and dishonest stands. Of course, their beads, their seals, they were making defense systems and exporting their lot of material, particularly for beads and other material, to the West Asia also. And they had excellent trade network in many parts of northwestern India and surrounding regions. So in the picture, you can see variety of their material which I was talking. And next, can we go next? And you can see, for example, this is the silver tiara from a site called Kunal. And here are these two agate bull figurines with gold horns of made of gold. And here you have this carnelian beads, long carnelian beads for which the Harappans are very well known, and lots of gold objects are there. Of course, from there is a site called Bagasra in Gujarat where you have this copper pot with lots of bangles and eggs. Next, so the Harappans were using variety of gold and copper objects, and it is believed that the majority of their copper may have been coming either from Balochistan or from Arawalis, which I'll talk much a little later. About the source, I will visit the area of Arauli. Here you can see, in between you have mirror, a large number of copper heads, fish hook, and a variety of axes, chisels, and some gold objects from different sites. Next. So, and there is a site called Harinagar in Bijnor, actually in UP, where one of the excellent officer called Bhuvan Bikram of ASI Archaeological Survey has discovered in this large number of, it's a big hoard of actually copper objects. You can see, copper, uh, uh, utensils, variety of copper utensils, and things like goblets, which match very well with the pottery, Harappan pottery, has been discovered. So it is a big hoard actually. Next. So this is just to show you how the Hadappans were using a variety of metal, and one of their prime source of this Aravalli. Aravalli, as you know, basically is composed of Precambrian rocks over which lie the Aravalli Formation and finally the Delhi group of rocks. The Aravalli Formation, which is in pink here, and the Delhi group of rocks in yellowish, these two rock formations actually are, host rocks for variety of minerals in the Aravallis, and Aravallis are so well mined that the mining one can compare with the kind of, honey comb basically, and a large variety of metal. Actually, this is more like a polymetallic zone in which you have, in the northern part of Aravalli, areas of Sikar, Junjunu, you have a lot of copper deposit. When you come to the central part where I'm sitting right now at Ajmer, this area is quite rich for lead deposits. And when you go to the southern part of the Aravalli, which is quite rich in lead zinc, but at the same time you have iron across the Aravalli. So apart from this, you have silver, you have even gold in the northern part. So it is believed that from the copper deposits of the northern Aravalli, the Hadappans may have also obtained gold from the Aravallis. Also, there is a site called Tosham in Haryana where tin deposit has also been found. So therefore, it is kind of polymetallic zone which you find also in Asia Minor. Next. So once you now see the area of Rajasthan, in the northern part of Rajasthan, because I'm showing you in Rajasthan, not rest of India, because I'm going to focus finally at Jawar, which is in very much in Rajasthan. So if you see the northern part of this Rajasthan is occupied by the Harappans. Then further down we had another cultural group called Ganeshwar. It was a rural Chalcolithic or Bronze Age folk. Further down, we have another cultural group called Ahad, contemporary one. And then again further down in North Gujarat, adjoining to where the Aravallis descend to the plains of Gujarat, we have again Hadappans. So between these two Hadappan groups, basically the rural Chalcolithic people were in a buffer zone kind of situation. They were exploiting Aravallis very well and supplying metal to the Hadappans, neighboring Hadappans. Next. So this was a long story of metal making for last 7,000 years, and then of course post Harappans, then we have a large number of iron age sites in Rajasthan, bearing the western part of Thar Desert, in the eastern part where in the eastern area where you have the Aravalli Hills basically. Now in this particular map, what you see, large number of old workings recorded by Geological Survey of India and by many archaeologists surveying across the landscape. So there are iron smelting sites, old working sites, copper one, lead zinc, and others. So all these are basically old working and smelting sites. So next, can we go next? So what happened? Generally, when you are traveling in the Aravalli, you see this kind of scene. This is basically Gosan, which is leaching out, which is a byproduct of the metal. Due to leaching out of the metal oxides, you have this kind of actually picture. So once you see this kind of picture, you can immediately understand there is metal underneath. So people through time for last 7,000 years, 8,000 years, of course, people have been mining this area. In last 3,000 years, people also did mine lots of iron because we have large number of iron age sites, mostly early iron age sites in northern Rajasthan, areas of Bharatpur, Sikar, Junjunu, even in the Ghaggar region of the area where we have a famous site of Harappan called Kalivanga, that Ghaggar region, which is also called as Saraswati or Hakra. In that zone, we have large number of painted brazier or early Iron Age sites. Then coming down to southern part of Rajasthan, where we have later Iron Age sites. So people in Rajasthan were also mining, making lots of iron also next, and good quality of iron also next. So you have in various parts of Aravalli, you have open and subsurface mines. So these are mines, actually open mines in northern area where it is actually called Shekhawati region. This is a place called Udaipur where you have large number of wells which look like wells. Actually, these are open mines, copper mines for copper basically. Next, so you have not only mines, you have large number of you know old working and slag heaps. Can we go? Can we go the earlier one, previous one? You have jumped, I think. Can we go to the previous slide, please? So there is a place called Singhana. Next, okay. Maybe next one. No, let it go the previous. Okay, this one, this one. So this is a place called Singhana. You can see this is a massive heap of or a ridge of slag basically. So this slag was recorded even by Captain Brooke in 1864, and he prepared a sketch of it how copper smelting was happening, and the dates for this region are known for last 5,000 years. So this region was very well researched, mined, and exploited right from the Harappan times, actually by the Ganeshwar people in northern Rajasthan, and the metal was being supplied. Next. Okay, this is the site of actually Ganeshwar, which is a local Chalcolithic culture, which is believed to be working as a doing resource management by supplying copper to the Harappans to the north in the to Kalibanga or to all the Harappan sites in Haryana and Punjab and others also. Next. This is in the southern Rajasthan called Balathal. Again belonging to Ahar culture. This Ahar culture, like in northern Rajasthan, you have the Ganeshwar culture where the sites are over 200, and in this part also this Ahar culture sites which are spread in areas between Ajmer and Dungarpur Banswara in southeastern Rajasthan and in around Chittor, around Udaipur in these districts, and there are over 130 sites known. This Balathal is one of them, where you can see this fortified enclosure, datable to 2300 BC. And these Ahadians in southern Rajasthan, like their partners in northern, they were also exploiting local copper and maybe supplying also. Next. So they're using beautiful pottery, which is if you look at the surface treatment and plasticity of the material, is as good as the Harappan one. Of course, some of the pottery type known as actually reserve slip has much older date than the Harappan reserve slip. So it is even believed, even actually published that the idea of reserve slip might have traveled from this southeastern Rajasthan to the Harappan zone. Next. So these are some of the copper objects belonging to Ahar people. They also were using copper at the same time. Bronze. So you can see this bronze bowl here. Some copper shells and knives, arrowhead, floret, etc. So these Ahadians, like their counterparts in the north, were also able to do a lot of copper mining in southern part. Next. So all I'm saying is in the Aravalli, these rural Chalcolithic people, they researched the entire Aravallis and were mining metal for last 5,000 years. Now in the red circle here is the location of Jawar, which I'm going to focus today. So the ore of zinc actually is associated with the dolomite rocks in this region, and the zinc ore sphalerite was used for making zinc basically. Next, so dolomite was the host rock, in fact. Next, so okay, so this is the panoramic view of Jawar area where mining large number of open and subsurface mines are available, and people in this area made large number of zinc furnaces. They did commercial scale zinc smelting here and supplied that material. We'll see the evidence. So it is almost 30 kilometers long lead zinc sulfide mineralized zone which has carbonate-bearing sequence. Then in the Aravalli group, and ledging load is controlled by shear and fold closures. Next. Okay, there are large number of temples, in the Jawar area, where many of them belong to Jain community, and some of them are belong to Hindus also. And it is believed that there were also this Jawar was a very large city, because it must have been involved in trade, and there are large number of remains of such structures, belonging to ancient settlement. Next. So what you see in these maps, basically, these are different mining areas or deposits. This said is called. This is one of the mining area or actually deposit. This is called Mochia mine, and this one is actually the Jawar mines, and this deposit is called Balaria one. There are three major types in Jawar area, and the ancient temple remains and old workings are all along this TD river, and the red spots are basically the old workings and heaps of refractory material, large, very large, massive heaps of refractory material at Jawar, which we will see in the coming slides. Next. So what I was telling you about the rock, host rocks in the Aravallis, in the lower level, you have a gneissic granitic complex, Precambrian types here, and then that is followed by the Aravallis, which also has ledging deposits, and then further finally you have again the upper group of Aravalli. They are also actually with sales, etc. They also have metal deposits. Next. So the ledging, ore is available in the form of veins. You can see these veins here. So these veins are also exposed in the open mines in areas of Jawar. We'll see some of the open mines in the coming slides. So these veins were actually followed by the ancient miners when they were mining in the open mines or in subsurface mines. Next. So the signing material in the ore is actually lead, and sphalerite was actually brownish kind of appearance. So it was easily available, visible to people, and people could separate it from the other dirt. So these are some of the open mines in Jawar area. All the hills around in Jawar area have such open mines. Many of them are quite dangerous because there are wild animals in these live in these open mines now. Next. They are straight and in serpentine form, and some of the mines are open like this. This is an open mine in Dariba, and when people were throwing out the garbage from this, mining outside, to hold that garbage outside, so people also made this kind of wooden structures. So these wooden structures were dated by Paul Kadok and their team in 1982. They dated back to 3rd century BC. So this was very interesting. People in Jawar, in Dariba, in that area actually were doing mining for since 4th, 5th century BC, and the mining continued till pre-modern times. Next. So you can see some of the open mines in Jawar area. So in areas of Agucha, there is in Bhilwara, where the mining was done up to a depth of almost 260 meters below surface, and in areas of Jawar, it goes up to 150 meters below surface. So some of these are old, open old mines. Next. So this is what I was telling you. In Agucha, the deepest mine was found at a depth of 262 meters, at Jawar 150, and in the area of Dariba, where I showed you that open mine, is about 100 meters up to this depth. Next. And if you look at the chronology of this mining, so it starts all the way from this Mauryan times, when zinc oxide was exploited on small scale. Then during the medieval time, a lot of zinc on commercial scale was done, and during the post-medieval time, zinc and some silver production was also done on commercial scale. And we not only inscriptional evidence, but also there is a lot of literary evidence available for this zinc making. Next. So these are some of the subsurface mine when people were going down in the subsurface, and then fire setting was used for this kind of mining, and that must have been very very risky. But at a depth of 150 meter below surface 2000 years ago, it must have been incredible to do this kind of mining. And I'll show in one of the picture how actually the mining may have been going on. This is basically a hole they made for air. This is called edit actually, and that is found next to the mine. Next, maybe mining may have been done something like this, because in the deep mines, people may have been having some arrangement for light, and they are mining. So this sketch was prepared by one of my friends called Irwin. Next. So in this deep subsurface mine, you have ladders, actually stairs. This way, basically, many people may have been coming up and going down for working in the mine. Next, this belongs to the Mauryan times. Maybe, matlab, I mean 2,200, 300 years old. And in these subsurface mines, launders like this were used. This is wooden one. They were used to transport water from one to other place. So there must have been a lot of problems of dewatering the mines, because in the subsurface there must have been water. Because of this problem of water, the Britishers, they tried very hard to recontinue the mine, but they could not do, because they complained, unless we have some system for dewatering the mines, we cannot continue the mining at Jawar. Next. So this is a picture, prepared by Brenda Craddock, wife of Paul Craddock, who worked in Jawar with a team of including Professor Hegde, Sunavane, Bhan, Jit Prasad Krishnan, and Paliwalji, who was actually the director of Hindustan Zinc during that time, Lalit Gurjar and others. So she prepared this sketch how mining, subsurface mining may have been going on. You can see in this some women are bringing wood. Some people are some women are taking out water in their jars. Some people are busy in mining. So this is kind of quite busy. Everybody is busy doing some work in the mine, subsurface mine, and taking out the material from deep subsurface may have been a difficult job. Next. So in the subsurface mine, the survey, whatever was done during 1982-83, this kind of plan of the subsurface mine was found by Lynn Willis, Paul Craddock, and others. Next. It is very difficult to find actually this kind of plan, and also were found certain kind of tools, iron tools in the subsurface mines, and fragment of a basket and some pot. This is a bulb-shaped jar with the bended rim and a bowl, of course. So maybe this kind of basket may have been used to bring out the ore and other material from the mine, and these tools may have been used for chiseling or mining. And this kind of pot may have been used for water, of course, and bowl may have been used for actually lightning. Next. And when they were dated, they date back to 2nd century BC. So Barhamir very well records in his, Barhamir is a very well-known scholar of 5th century AD, record mentions in his famous work, says that this fire setting was used for mining in the ancient time. He writes that the text is translated this way: if a rock resists splitting, kindle a fire with fuel from bulia and ebony and make the rock red hot, sprinkling of water with lime over it, and it will burst the rock immediately. So this is how perhaps the mining was also done. Next. So Kautilya in his Arthashastra mentions that there was a director of mines during the Mauryan times. Besides being able to identify property of different types of ore and organized mining, is also expected to conduct examination of medicinal property of matter in the retort at the prescribed location. So this is extremely good what Arsasa says. Next. So also Asasa says mines are source of treasury. This is very important, very interesting. From the treasury, power comes to the state, and the earth whose ornament is treasury acquired by means of army and treasury. Next. Again, Arthashastra further says, is very, very interesting, which is still relevant. Profit earned from mine should again be reinvested in the mine to earn further profit. This is how the maintenance of mine would be done. Next. So what we find at Jawar, we have this kind of pits in many hills. So in which actually after mining the ore, crushing of that must have been done to separate the other irrelevant material from it, to separate the sphalerite so that it could be taken further for roasting. Next. So then we have these kinds of heaps in areas of Jawar. What is this? Actually, after beneficiation, the ore was roasted to get rid of sulfides. So to get rid of sulfide, they must have done roasting. That roasting was done for centuries. So therefore, these are the heaps. There are many heaps like this around the refractory material. They have, lot of ash and some stones. So obviously, this is a kind of, result of roasting. Next. Prior to distillation, that was done. This is the team actually. This is Paliwalji, who is still there, and who was director of Hindustan Zinc, because he facilitated all kinds of research of zinc at Jawar. And this is Paul Craddock here. This is Professor Hegde, KTM Hegde, who was heading the Department of Archaeology at MS University. And this is Professor Krishnan, and this is Professor Ajit Prasad. Here, this is Professor Sunamane from MS University, Baroda, Professor Bhan, Brenda Craddock, and this excavation is going on at Jawar. Next. This is 1982 picture. So all these people I have already spoken. These people were working, and they were very lucky to open a bank of 7 zinc smelting furnaces at Jawar. This is the picture of it. Next. Yes, this is the same picture from the different angle. But you see, retorts or bottles in which zinc balls were inserted. They were kept upside down in the furnace. The furnace had two chambers, lower and upper. The lower chamber was blank, open. The upper chamber had retorts upside down. You will see retorts in the coming slides. They were kept in a terracotta perforated plate in which actually 36 retorts could be placed in one furnace. And the discovery of bank of 7 furnaces may have been holding more than 252, exactly 252 retorts. So this was kind of, one can say this was kind of, chemical industry. Next. So this kind of perforated clay plate was made, and in the larger holes, the bottles or the retorts were kept upside down after filling up the charge. Next. And the clay plate was about 6 to 7 centimeter thick. So the clay plate was made in 4 parts. Then it was joined and kept on top of with the support of a clay stick again, kept here. So now the lower chamber is blank, and the upper chamber then after placing the bottles, it was then closed on all around, and then the fire was done lit in the upper part of the chamber. Next. The furnace may have looked like this. This is profile of the furnace. So, so the fire was lit here, up here, and once you can see the stick here, which may have been here. So after what happens in case of zinc, it smelts at a temperature of 415 degree only. But then to obtain zinc, you have to raise the temperature to more than 930 degree or to 1000 degree. Then only you can obtain its vapor. So to obtain metallic zinc, you have to condense that vapor. So to condense that vapor, you have to bring down the temperature less than 400 degree. Otherwise, it will not happen. So just imagine in the upper chamber, the temperature may have been around 1030 or 1100 degree. And once the zinc started smelting, it may have come down in semi-liquid form. And once it crossed the arrived in the nozzle part, so it must have started converting into vapor. Once it traveled down to the end of the nozzle, it was surely in vapor while coming out. that vapor in the lower chamber, which was open, the temperature had to be brought down to 400, which must have been a charisma. How did they do? We do not know. In the lower chamber, then of course that vapor was converted into powder. So this innovation was incredible. What happened at Jawar? So next, so the bottle was like this. So once the charge was filled in this bottle, it was the cap was luted with clay, and then it looked like brinjal, and then it was actually this bottle, this retort or this bottle itself is an innovation by the Jawar smiths. Next, so the bank of furnaces I showed you may have looked something like this, and the lower chamber of these furnaces was open. So looking at this, the furnaces is also a innovation of the Java smiths. We do not have any precursor of zinc smelting prior to Java. Next, anywhere in the world. So how that bottle which I showed you, how it was made, there is a famous text called Rasrata Samuchaya. It is an alchemical text datable to 13th, 14th century AD. Sorry, that explains how that brinjal shaped musa or retort that was made, and it has been published in Indian Journal of History of Science. I'm not reading this because it will take time. Indian Journal of History of Science in India 1991, volume 26. It is published. Next. So what we saw in the furnace, zinc smelting furnace, that zinc that was obtained was a kind of distillation that was a downward distillation. And the idea of downward distillation is coming from local liquor making. This local liquor making is happening everywhere in India even now. So this is in the same region where this kind of liquor making is happening. This is downward distillation basically, and you find this downward distillations references from all the way from Takshila, Sekhandheri, and in many alchemical texts of ancient India, you find the same kind of pictures where they were making medicines. Even Charak and Shushu, they were using alcoholic medicines. So this idea of distillation was known since then. Next. Okay, see, this is local distillation that is happening. This is actually the idea of this distillation was transferred to zinc to obtain zinc. Maybe this happened first time anywhere in the world. Next. So this is the bottle analysis was done by IIT Kanpur people, and it has been published. So it has lead and zinc. Next. Maybe I have to go faster because I'm worried about my network issue. So at Jawar, you find these large heaps of refractory material, and there are many. So about 600,000 tons of this refractory material is available. So that clearly says this was an industrial activity at Jawar. Next, datable 12th century AD to early 19th century. 1812 was the last time when zinc was made. So after obtaining zinc, people discarded the bottle, or sometimes they also use those bottles as bricks to make their houses. Next, these are the house walls actually. Next. So okay, what happened in 2019 to 20? During the corona time, some people were making a house at Java. They destroyed a similar kind of heap of refractory material. Some furnaces got exposed in that area. You can see the exposed furnaces here. Actually, they were partially broken also. So we had an opportunity to record them. So next. So you can see those retorts are visible here. We are trying to expose them. Next. So we identified two different levels of actually retorts. You can see the drawing of it. We discovered three furnaces in one level, and the upper level with the furnaces were lost already. Next, in the upper level here. Next. So these are two different levels actually. In the upper level, you can see the base of the furnace here, where the zinc may have been collected, and in the lower furnace, we could expose the furnace. Next, and we could obtain a complete bottle for the first time. This is just plan drawing of those furnaces. Next, you can see those same picture. Next, bottles kept upside down. So now, this is the thickness of the furnace. The terracotta plate is about 7 centimeter, and once this nozzle is coming down from this, only this total for the first time at Jawar, we were able to discover the complete retort. The length of which is or height is 34 centimeter, and and actually the length of this nozzle is 13 centimeter. Once it is inserted here, so about 6 centimeter, part of this thickness is here. Remaining 7 centimeter will be in the lower chamber. So the charisma of bringing down the temperature and obtaining the vapor, converting the vapor into powder, obtaining pure zinc happened within that 7 centimeter area in the lower chamber. That charisma was done at Java. Next. So this zinc smelting is also explained in Rasratna Samuchaya, and it reads when the flame issuing, how much they have to heat. This is what it is explaining. When the flame issuing from the molten calamine charge changes from blue to white, the crucible is caught hold of by means of a pair of tongs, and it is its mouth held downward. Actually, this is explaining small scale kind of production of zinc, because that zinc may have been used for making Ayurvedic medicines. So, but this is translated. This methodology is translated into a larger chemical industry by the Smiths of Java. Next. So this again actually talks about the making of retorts. Next, because if I next if I read all these, then the time would go. Next, this is about the reducing agents that has been explained in the text, like borax, ghee, treacle, salt, nosadar. All these things were turmeric, cherry plum, cashew nut. They were the cow dung. All these were used as reducing agents with wine smelting. Next, but they may have been used for actually small scale, but in large scale in this kind of evidence. So these are from pictures from textual references, how people were making zinc using downward distillation in ancient times. Next, pictures from text actually. So this miracle I have already explained to you. The Jawar Smith successfully brought down the temperature from 1100 in the upper chamber to 400 degree in the lower chamber to condense the vapor for obtaining pure zinc in the form of powder. That was the charisma did by Indians. Next. So these are some of the dates. Actually, there are large number of published dates now. 4th century BC to 1800 AD. There are dates available for mining, and 900 to 1800 dates for smelting. So prior to 900, we don't have any evidence discovered so far for smelting. I am sure since people are mining zinc from 4th century BC, so surely some smelting must have been happening that we have yet to discover at Java. Next, this should be the new agenda. Next. So there are large number of textual references in the city palace Udaipur available. There was a treasury at Java. These are records of treasury. Next, which explain how much money was kept in bags. Next, this is record of the treasury. In each bag, rupees were kept. This reads 100. This was record of the treasury. So there are 19 records of that treasury, and this belongs to 1680. Can we go next? This belongs to 1680 to 1797. This treasury records belong to that. Actually, there is a fort at Jawar. Inside that fort, there was a treasury, and these records belong to that treasury. Next. So basically, this treasury was there within this fort, simply because this was a commercial production, and lots of zinc may have been exported. Next. So this fort which I showed you plan is this one actually up here in the hill. Next. This is the remains of the fort. Next. This is that entrance of that fort. Next. There are a large number of inscriptions ranging from 11th to 15th century at Java. Next. So now you see production, and you saw the bottle. Each retort or bottle had 1 kg of charge, and out of that, after smelting, 400 grams of zinc could be obtained. So the furnace in one shot could give you 25 to 30 kg of zinc in one smelting activity. So Kodok has and his team has calculated or actually estimated, about 600,000 tons of smelting debris at Jawar, and 32,000 of tons of zinc may have been produced only during 400 years, calculated between 14 and 1800. They have not taken into consideration from 1200. Of course, there are many dates from 1200 AD itself. If we start calculating from 1200 to early 1900, so that the amount is surely going to cross 50,000 tons, I suppose. There are also archival records available about the earning that was happening from Jawar in the year 1759 alone. 2,22,000 rupees were earned from the mines of Jawar. So this is the maximum revenue that was being earned by the Mewar state. Next. So basically Jawar was a very, very prominent center for earning. So there were business people from Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Takka, Punjab. There were lot from Gujarat were coming to Udaipur, perhaps for metal trade, silver and zinc from Jawar. There are also references to uh, Akshipattalika, basically accountants. So such people were there, perhaps to keep the record. Next, that belongs to 14th century. These are some of the records which inform us about the earning that was happening from Java. Next, during 17th and 18th century. So this again local record. Slightly later, will again giving you lots of references about the city, about the business that was happening, zinc business that was happening. Next. So in the inscription, Jawar was known as Yogini Pattan, and there is a public record office, London, which 1509 10. It gives information that Indian zinc was being imported to that place, to London. This is the evidence that Indian zinc was reaching there and was known as Tutenag. Next. So being sold as Tutenag there. So this Tutenag word also exists in Tengung Kaiwu, a text of Japanese science and technology in early 17th century. Why this Indian word should exist there? This Tutenag were actually zinc was sold as Tutenag in Europe by India first, and later on by the Chinese via India to Europe when they actually started making zinc in after 1521. Next. So some of the coins that were discovered from Jawar belonging to the Akbar's time, maybe because of trade, these coins are there. Next. So this is interesting. Now you already saw the furnace at Jawar, how they did the furnace, and they did smelting from 12th century AD, if not earlier. I'm sure they did earlier also. We have yet to discover that evidence. But you see, in the same fashion, there was somebody called William Champion at Bristol in England. He made this kind of bottle at England with a with a nozzle. Maybe distillation was happening, the lower downward distillation, and this is his company office. So with the same kind of furnace of Jawar he created at Bristol, and in the year 1738 got patented. Zinc got patented. Next, this was a very unfortunate part of on our part that zinc was innovated, produced at industrial scale from India, but it got patented in London. So this Tengung Kaiwu series I have already told you. It was the idea is reaching to China, Mongolia, and it is also getting recorded in Japan. Next. So there was somebody called Forbes, an eminent European historian of science. In the year 1964, he writes, it seems that zinc was prepared by Indian chemists since 12th century, but this remained a laboratory experiment and was never applied to industrial production. Now we all have already seen the massive heaps of refractory material at Jawar that cannot be called a laboratory scale. That was surely industrial scale zinc that was being exported to many parts of the country and outside also. So this is kind of Eurocentrism. This is example of Eurocentrism actually. Next. So Royal Society of London, considering this kind of evidence available at Jawar, says in his plate given to Hindustan Zinc, says this is the earliest example of high temperature distillation operation known anywhere in the world. This was something very, very appreciative that Royal Society did, and a plate given to Hindustan Zinc that is there in the office. Next. So this is another plate given by American Society of Metal, very famous society. It says again about zinc distillation. So in the year 1988, that is there. There is some mistake in this plate which we need to get it corrected. Next. So what we did, we brought a lot of soil and created a furnace exactly of the same dimension we discovered at Jawar, or Paul Kadok did discovered at Jawar, and made the bottles also. And we did an experiment. The IIT Gandhinagar people also came to our department, and we did that, but we miserably failed. We could not obtain zinc. So basically, we wanted to know how the zinc metal may have been procured in the lower chamber. For that reason, we were doing, but we miserably failed. We are going to do another experiment in the department. Next. So this is how we did. Next. So zinc in ancient India was primarily used for making brass, other than using for making bhasma, or metallic zinc was used in the Ayurvedic medicine. In brass, actually, if you have less than 4% zinc, then this is accidental. If it is more than 4%, then it is intentional. But then if it is around 28 degree or less than 28, 21 to 28 degree, then this is called cementation process zinc, brass made by cementation process. And if it is more than 33%, that means metallic zinc was added to copper to make brass. So there are two very, very important, next, very, very important evidences of brass, one coming from Takshila and another coming from Sinwar in the Ganga Valley. So there are many ancient Indian sites like Hastinapur, Ratanji Khada, Lothal, Gujarat, Takshila, Sinwar, etc., where you have, even Nalanda, where you have evidence of brass. Brass coming, and there are many medieval centers of brass making in Gujarat and other parts of the country. Next. So Takshila and Sinwar are the earliest example of brass that were made by obtaining zinc and mixing it to copper, where in case of Takshila, 3rd century BC, you have 34.34% of zinc in brass. That means metallic zinc was obtained and then it was mixed in with copper. Same situation next happened at Sinwar also, where we have 35.52% of zinc in a bangle. So these are solid evidence that Indians knew making metallic zinc way back from 4th century BC, prior to the arrival of the Romans, because the evidence of Takshila comes from the village which was older than the arrival of the Romans in Takshila. Next. So this is actually brass cannon at the Udaipur bus stand, opposite Udaipur bus stand. So since zinc was available, so people made a brass cannon here. Next. Basically, zinc doesn't allow corrosion of the metal, so therefore it is used. So this zinc and brass appear in the ancient Indian texts, right from Charak Samhita, even Kautilya Shastra. I already spoke. Next. There are utensils and different kinds of metal along with brass were also mentioned. There is a reference in Charak Samhita which talks that people knew about zinc. And the word like rasaka was a very common. Stav and rasak were the popular term for zinc in ancient text. Next. I'm not reading out that because it will otherwise. Then there are Kautilya Shastra, I've already spoken. Then there was Ratnakara, Rasavarnam, and Rasratna Samuchaya. All these talk about zinc, and then there are Chinese, Persian, British, and Greek references to ancient zinc. Next. There are a number of terms for zinc like Pospanjana, Stav, Padan, Rasak, There are three different kinds of zinc: Mritika Rasak, Guda Rasak, Pasan Rasak. Three different names for Rasak. Then there is Kharpar, again a term used for ancient zinc. Then there is Jasad or Yasad. Yasad is, fame. Since zinc, heals up any part of your body has cut. So the medicine you take actually has zinc. So zinc gives you longevity of life, heals up the body, gives you longevity of life. Therefore, it is called Yasad. Next. So there is another word called Tutenag. I have already spoken. Please go ahead. The zinc was also sold as Tutenag to many parts of West and to Europe. So there is another text called Bhav Prakash Nighantu belonging to 16th century, which talks about brass and explains how brass is made by mixing copper and zinc. Next. Thus, the zinc smelting process of Jawar appears to be the result of long experience of archaeometallurgy, use of metals and medicine, long history of distillation technology, continuity and transition in cultural processes, and strong traditional knowledge system in South Asia. All these factors perhaps contributed to the development of underground mining of metals in the first millennium BCE and production of pure zinc on commercial scale at Jawar from 12th century BCE, if not earlier. Next. So, warm salute to the ancient smiths, mining engineers, and workers of Jawar who stole the march by innovating distillation technique for pure zinc and made India feel proud forever. Next. All we need to do is that actually we need to preserve this precious heritage with us. And there are many different names of Jawar in the ancient texts and inscriptions. Yoginipur, Yoginipattan, Samnagar, Srevangiri, and then finally Jawar. Next. Now there are 2-3 books available on Jawar by catalog, by me, and by one of my friend called Arvind. Next, one of my students actually. Next. Now, let me tell you, there is the pathetic situation in that area. Recently, Nandan Sastry sir also visited this area. People are destroying those heaps of refractory material. Not only people, but also the company, zinc company that is working there, they also are destroying these mounds. So that is the precious heritage of this country, not of the country, but of the world. It is a site which deserves to be a world heritage site because this is the only site of ancient zinc smelting in whole of South Asia. We don't have any second site. So therefore, it has to be protected. Next. So there are lots of meetings with Archaeological Survey of India also where they committed that they will preserve it, but it is still is to be done. Next, we all need to do some effort for it. Next. So let me thank Archaeological Survey of India, my own university, also Professor D.P. Agrawal, then Rajiv Malhotra, Paul Kadok, Grigori Pusel, Toshiki Usada from Japan, Paliwalji, who was director of Hindustan Zinc, Gurjarji is no more now, and O.C. Handa from Himachal Pradesh, Arvind Kumar, Sahida Ansari from Deccan College, my staff members, family and friends, all they helped me all these years, recording this whole issue of zinc and encouraged me to keep working on this line. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. This has been a wonderful presentation, and it was absolutely intriguing to learn how metal making started in India. You have not just given us a picture of how zinc was produced at a large scale in Zawar, but you started from how metal, especially during the Harappan times, how it was made, and from there, what kind of metals and what kind of alloys were used. And you told us the entire story of Zawar from the beginning till now. So it has been a wonderful experience listening to you, sir. Thank you very much for this extremely informative lecture. With your
Uh,
permission, we can. Yes, sir.
Mamaya, before you start the question, let me add one more last sentence maybe.
Yes,
The
sir.
beauty of metallurgy, the poetry of metallurgy is that when you are smelting copper, maybe it is coming in the upper part of the furnace. When you are smelting iron, it is coming out of the lower part of the furnace. But when you are smelting zinc, it is getting lost. So zinc is a volatile metal and very difficult to handle. So therefore, maybe iron required much heat.
Uh, Nidhi, I think Sir has Sir's screen has frozen.
Yes.
Yes, I'll call him and inform.
Yeah, please ask him to leave and join back.
Yes, I'll tell that.
My data was, but that I'm still alive. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. No issues, sir. Uh, yes, sir. You were saying something.
No, actually, what I was actually telling copper could be done earlier because copper doesn't need much heat to do. To obtain copper, maybe 1000 degree around 1200 is good because that temperature can be raised when you are heating even utensils, pottery you are heating. But if you are using flux material, the temperature around 1000 degree would be enough. But in case of iron, it happened much later because iron requires much more temperature to be smelted. And but these ferrous metals, when they were done, the beauty is that when you are smelting copper, it is being recovered from the upper part of the furnace. When you are heating iron in the lower part of the furnace, furnaces are more or less similar. But when you are heating, you want to heat or obtain the volatile metal, very difficult to handle. When you heat volatile metal, it gets lost. So Indians were, you know, the mastermind. They could actually recover. They could actually distill or condense that vapor which was getting lost using the idea of distillation. They were already making liquor for a long time. Using downward distillation, applying that methodology, transferring the idea in the zinc and obtaining metallic zinc. That they did and made feel India proud forever.
Absolutely, sir. As you said, it was indeed a miracle that they were converting a metal that was at 1100 degrees Celsius to 400 degrees Celsius within a span of 7 centimeters. So that was not short of a miracle. And
Yes,
I can't imagine what kind of coolants they might have been using for that or what technology. So it is beyond my imagination. So, with your permission, can we take a couple of
please,
questions?
please go ahead.
Before taking questions, there are some comments by Prabhulal Thakkarji, which I would like to read out. Copper
Okay.
coins and objects like ladies' hairpins, etc., are found at Karim Shahi, Kaji Ka Karai, and Vighopot archaeological sites in the Great Run of Kutch, which are still not excavated. Iron melting was carried out at Basta Bandar in Padla Creek north of Lakhpat and Kori Creek near Sir Creek about 1 kilometer south of the Indo-Pak border. And large size pots, kotis, are also found at Vigoport, Karim Shahi, and Kajika Karai in Great Run of Kutch. He has also added many Jain temples are there at Virava, Parinagar, and
Thar
Nagar
Parker.
Park.
Thar
Yes, sir,
Parker.
Nagar
Nagar
Park
Parker. Thar Parker. Yes.
in
Represented with the
present
Parker.
day Pakistan. So, do you want to add anything to this?
Uh, Thakurji, actually, I'm more concentrated on zinc here, and zinc has a much later history. Actually, we think that the smelting must have had started somewhere in the around third fourth century BC when people started mining at Jawar, mining zinc at Jawar. So I'm sure we should one day find out the zinc smelting was happening at Jawar because I told you Takshila yielded the first evidence of brass that was made using metallic zinc into copper adding. So that means there is no other way that the ore was or the metal was reaching from anywhere else except for Java. So we have to find out the long story of smelting zinc way back from 4th century, even if not earlier, down to 12th century onwards. We have evidence I showed you, but that gap we have to fill up. So, sorry, I am here concentrated more on zinc and brass, not on iron and other objects because there is too much to discuss about iron because iron has a different story. I'm sure Vivaji must have explained how important this iron itself is because iron Indians were, mastermind of making good quality of iron, which is called termed as Foladi iron. Persians were saying Foladi iron. Even Porus gifted a sword to Sikandar made of maybe steel, and Tipu's steel, sword is very famous. And Indians were sending Uku to Damascus. From Damascus, it was going to entire Europe, known as Damascus steel or Damascene pattern is so famous. So our Indians knew metallurgy so well that others had to learn how Indians were doing smelting.
Absolutely, sir. Another example is the Mehruli pillar
Aerolica
uh,
pillar,
which
yes.
has inscription.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
sir. The next question, it is from Dr. Geeta Badikillaya from Bengaluru. She is the founder of Destination Heritage. In the zinc production, was there high pollution? If so, how was this tackled?
Actually, I think your question is right. Must be pollution because looking at the amount of refractory material available at Jawar, I'm sure there must have been quite a lot, but not throughout the year. Point is, you see, when they are smelting zinc, that means they can't do it in winter. I mean, sorry, in the monsoon because the rains would be there. They can't smelt. They have to see when the air flow is good, maybe only during that time because the heating has to be done 4 to 5 hours continuously with a temperature around 1030 degree to 1100 degree. So maintaining that temperature, you need maybe constantly air coming. So good flow of air. We don't know which month was good for air coming, and the location of the furnaces may have been very important. Therefore, I don't think that pollution happened throughout the year. Pollution may have been at a time when the peak time for smelting was.
Thank you, sir. There's another question from Mrs. Chaya Momaya. She is the treasurer of the History Enthusiasts. Is
Yeah.
this process of metal making still used in modern industries of zinc production? If so, what adaptations have been made to suit the modern scales and needs?
Yeah, the modern zinc smelting has the same process. Actually, I showed you the process that was adopted, the same kind of distillation process that was used by William Champion at Bristol. That was refined later on by spread to Europe and other parts of the world. When the same process is happening in India now, the only thing that now they are not throwing away any retort, they are reusing retorts. So the process is same, the principle is same. Only they are not using any clay material now. They are using in metal ones. That is happening. Same principle.
Thank you very much, sir. Manav ji has written, first of all, thank you very much, sir, for such a great presentation. Your elegant switch between the slides and your voice modulation made me believe as if I was sitting in a planetarium. Too good, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And he has
So
added,
please, Manavji, please come to Udaipur. I'll take you to Jawar and make you feel actually proud to be Indian.
yes. So he has asked a question. Can AI be helpful in handling zinc in our
Sure,
context?
sure,
Like,
sure, 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 sure. We need to do VR so that everybody has the feel that how our people contributed to the world of science. I'm sure
uh,
Shastriji would agree to me.
Uh,
yes. he is going to address at the end of this
Sure, sure, sure.
session. So, looking forward to that as well. I just want to thank all the people who have actively participated throughout the lecture and commented. Uh, Alkesh Zaveri has just written that he will come to Zawar,
Sure, sure.
Mm.
and Manavji
Standing
has
invitation, standing invitation.
yes.
Mm.
So definitely we will also visit Zawar, myself and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Nidhi.
Please, please,
So
please do
we
come.
are very much interested and want to learn more about this if possible.
Sure, sure, sure.
So
Because
Nidhi, do
I
you have
always feel
anything?
to be honored if people are coming to Udaipur and I'm taking them to Jawar because it is a pleasure to make visit, take people to Jawar and salute that place, which makes always feel us proud.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
And I ensure
Uh,
that every season I'm
Mm.
taking my students to Jawar so that they know this scientific heritage of India.
yes, sir. It is a great service indeed, sir, to the history and archaeology of India that you're doing by creating awareness about this wonderful, miraculous place among the students. Now we have come to the end of this session, and I would like to invite our honorary president, Shri Nandan Shastri ji, to add a few words of his own and to propose a vote of thanks.
Hi to everybody. Before proposing vote of thanks, Professor Jeevanji, I completely agree with you that we should prepare a very nice proposal to UNESCO to declare Zawar area as World Heritage Site. Not only
Sure.
that, I would like to propose to Government of India to set up a national museum of industrial history in Udaipur or somewhere nearby because Ministry of Culture is seriously contemplating to set up such a museum. And on behalf of the history enthusiast group and on my personal behalf, it gives me a great pleasure to thank my friend Dr. Jeevanji for taking us on the virtual tour to Zawar mines during his talk today. And the quality of the slides, including the uh, pixels, were super duper. So
Thank
we
you,
are
sir.
very thankful to you. Uh, this mining belt comprises of four operating mines, and as it is expressed in Q&A, that if application of augmented reality, virtual reality, and mixed reality takes place, there will be some new outcome in this region. I also thank Manali Momaya for welcoming our today's guest and to Nidhi Katti for giving introduction of Dr. Jeevanji. Thanks to those who have today participated in Q&A and to all the attendees of this virtual event of History Enthusiast Group, which is a great success. Thanks to all.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, and I also personally thank Nandan Shastri sir. At this age, he is more active than any of us youngsters, and it is inspiring for us because he attended both the lectures today and from start to end. Uh, we have to learn from him that we have to sit down and listen to our resource persons with this enthusiasm. So thank you, sir, for that. And
Thank you
we
very much.
are signing off now. Before that, I would just like to present the poster that shows tomorrow's lectures. So kindly, everyone, tomorrow also we have two lectures. They are displayed here. Uh, One is by Dr. C.B. Patil, sir. It is on heritage laws in India, a brief review. And in the evening at 7 o'clock, we have a lecture by Dr. Alok Tripathi. It is on historiography of his Harappan civilization, both very intriguing topics. So I request the audience members to show the same enthusiasm and active participation in tomorrow's lectures as well. See you all. Once again, thank you, Khadakwal sir, on behalf of the entire history enthusiasts team and family, it was a really wonderful experience for us. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, actually, Umayaji, I'm traveling. I have to travel just now, but tomorrow also I'm traveling to Dehradun, and entire week I'm traveling. If I'm in with okay with my network and all that, I'll try to attend the lectures. Otherwise, I'm going to miss many important, because everybody in the team which you have placed, including Biji, my friend Gopal, Sandesh sir, or Manjul ji, or Patil ji, everyone. I'm sure the lectures are going to be very useful. But since I'm traveling, I don't know if I will be able to attend. I'll try my level best. Thank you very much.
In that
Good
case,
night.
feel free to watch the recording thereafter.
Good, true. Yes, sir. Thank you.
The
Thank you. Good
recordings will
night. Stay well. Stay well. See you soon somewhere.
yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
sir.
Okay. Bye. Bye.
Yes. Signing off here, everybody. Good night. See you all tomorrow.
Thank you.